What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Chris Evans here with Zero Meter Chasers with a late night update here on our Friday, July 10th. I did want to fire up a live stream here and kind of cover the overnight expected storm threat that we will have with the elevated flash flooding threat that we will have throughout the night tonight. And then we will continue to have that elevated flash flooding threat through our Saturday and possibly even through our Saturday night. So tonight we'll kind of only cover what to expect tonight. I know many people are probably about to head to bed here, and I just wanted to give a quick update to kind of let you guys know what to expect as we got into our overnight hours. The only thing I ask for you guys right now is just to give me a thumbs up on the stream if the audio is working well, or you guys can put in the chat saying that the audio is working correctly, just so I know that you guys can hear me. What we're looking at right now is the Kentucky Mesonet website, and you can see that the whole state is under that flood watch, which is in that green area, and that flood watch is going to go all the way until 2 a.m. on Sunday morning. So we'll continue with these repeated rounds and storms tonight, and then we'll deal with it again tomorrow until we hopefully get this out of here, this rain out of here by Sunday. Now, you can see in far western Kentucky where we have that pink area, that is the severe thunderstorm watch that was issued by the Storm Prediction Center earlier today. This is going to expire at 12 o'clock Central, so in just under 2 hours here. And we'll kind of take a look at radar here. And here is what the current radar looks like at 11:21 Eastern time. And you can see here, far western Kentucky is where we're kind of starting to see that shower and storm activity. If I zoom in here, give me 1 second, get everything right here. If we zoom in here, you can see near Paducah, we have a complex of storms that is going to be pushing into Paducah here in about the next 15 to 20 minutes. I will say I do not think that the severe risk is that high. As we get into the overnight hours, we're losing some fuel that we did have earlier in the afternoon. However, I will say that I do think that the flash flooding risk is going to be very elevated. And at the same time, it's not going to take much wind to cause some issues with trees because of how saturated the ground is already. We've gotten a lot of rain, and that may only take 50 to 55 mile an hour wind gusts to uproot some trees and to bring some trees down. So it might even take sub-severe winds to cause some wind damage because of how saturated our ground is. But again, if we look here at radar, the only complex of storms here that we have currently is diving down to the south near Paducah. And if I kind of put this in motion here, we'll put it in motion from the last hour, and you can see how slow these storms are moving, but they are consistently moving to the south. So they were kind of taking a southeast trend, but right now it does look like the heaviest rain threat's probably going to set up here between Evansville and Paducah. If I zoom out a little bit and scroll up a little bit to the north, you can see that flash flood warning that is already in effect here in southern Illinois, and I expect more flash flood warnings to get issued here with a widespread 2 to 4 inches of rain, especially here from a corridor from Paducah to Madisonville. Just kind of the way that the radar is setting up, I do think that this corridor right here, kind of along the I-69 and Western Kentucky exchange, it'll probably see the highest rainfall amounts as we get into the afternoon. Or as we get into the evening, sorry. It's been a long day here. What I did want to do was kind of look at some model data and what to expect as we get into our overnight on Friday. I do want to give you guys the opportunity to ask any questions about any specific area. So if you put that in the chat right now, when I get through this model data, I will share, or I will pull up some questions if I haven't covered your question already. So you remember your timestamp is up here at the top left, and this is the HRRR. Now, one thing I do want to show you guys is the HRRR is not initializing great, meaning it's not seeing the current conditions that well. So this is what the HRRR thinks the radar is going to look like here at 11 p.m. It does have some thunderstorms here in between St. Louis and Mount Vernon, but when we look at actual radar, you will see, if I zoom or if I fast forward a little bit, this storm complex is a little bit farther south already than the HRRR is initializing, and it's not seeing this kind of stratiform or just heavy rain on the backside of this. So the HRRR is not initializing perfect, But it is seeing that complex here in southwestern Illinois and western Kentucky pretty well. Again, if we look at the HRRR here, and we look at the next couple of hours, we'll go to about 2 a.m. You'll see that line of storms is going to push anywhere between Madisonville and E-Town here in the next couple of hours. And then there is that secondary area of storms that's already developing here just to the south of St. Louis. So I do think there'll be another complex that the HRRR is not seeing here through our overnight hours. But again, if you're in western Kentucky here, from now until the overnight hours is when we're going to start to see that uptick. If you're along the I-65 corridor, I still think it's going to take us a couple hours until we see that storm activity. Might take us until 2 or 3 a.m. here along the I-65 corridor. But if I fast forward this a little bit here to about 5 a.m., you'll see the HRRR has that first complex pushing all the way into Somerset here with a second complex. Now, again, we already know that there is a second complex on radar that's more defined than the HRRR is showing. So I do think we'll have another secondary wave of storms here anywhere between Paducah to Madisonville. And I do think the flash flooding risk will really start to increase as we get to 3, 4 a.m. in the morning as we get these repeated rounds of storms. And you'll see if I back this up here a little bit, if we go from, let's just say right now at 11 p.m., and if I fast forward it all the way to 5 a.m., you'll kind of see where that training of all these thunderstorms are occurring. And if we continue to get that training and building in of thunderstorms, I do think it's possible to see 3 to 5 inches of rain tonight, again, especially from a corridor from Paducah to Madisonville to E-Town. I think maybe just west of E-Town and then to Bowling Green. So if I kind of draw a line on that here, especially in Kentucky, I really think this area is probably most at risk for a significant flash flooding risk as we get into the overnight hours. I do think if you're outside of the circle, you could 100% still see flash flooding. But just looking at radar and kind of looking at the model data, I do think that corridor in between Madisonville to Hopkinsville to Evansville, Evansville is likely going to see those exaggerated rainfall amounts as we get into early Saturday morning. And again, this is 8 a.m. on Saturday morning here, and we're not done with the rain. If I fast forward the HRRR, you will see we're going to continue with these rounds of showers and storms. And we do have a severe risk tomorrow in far western Kentucky. And I think the severe risk tomorrow, if we can destabilize and get this wave out of here in the morning, is a little bit higher than it has been the last couple of days. But I don't want to talk about Saturday yet because, again, this evolution of what happens tonight is key to what happens on Saturday. This all lays down the train tracks for what will happen as we get into our Saturday afternoon. But it does look like another round of storms looks likely as we get into our Saturday afternoon. So if I look here, I did want to look at the HRRR through about, let's say, 9 a.m. and kind of see how much rainfall the HRRR is suggesting. And if you look here, you'll see it is showing that swath in between Madisonville and E-Town for localized 1 to 3 inches of heavy rainfall. And the HRRR was underdone last night with some of the overnight convection out here in far eastern Missouri and western Illinois. So I am very interested to see how radar looks as we get into the overnight hours. But I think that the most significant flash flooding threat is probably going to set up here from Evansville to Madisonville to Bowling Green. Right in between, kind of a corridor in between Madisonville to E-Town. That kind of looks like where our most significant flash flooding threat will set up tonight. But again, we'll have another round of storms as we get into our Saturday afternoon. And that round could bring a round of strong to severe storms. If we look at the Storm Prediction Center here is that outlook from the Storm Prediction Center for tomorrow. And you'll see it is again centered over the same areas here, far western Kentucky, portions of central Kentucky too. And we'll just have to watch again how today's risk sets up. But tomorrow's storm threat does look earlier. The short wave pushes in here about the mid-afternoon. So I do think we'll get storms, especially here in this yellow area, early in the afternoon as we get into our Saturday, which again will just exaggerate the flash flooding threat as we get into the evening and overnight hours. And then again, as we get into our Saturday afternoon. So a significant flash flooding threat could take place here tonight. Again, we're just going to have to watch radar here and kind of see exactly where these rounds of showers and storms do line up. Again, with this kind of southward trend here, I'm very interested to see exactly how the radar looks here in a couple of hours, because no model data is picking up exactly on how this complex is tracking. So again, if you're here in far western Kentucky, if you're near Paducah or Princeton, next hour or so, we're going to start seeing that shower and storms, and you're going to see repeated rounds of showers and storms as we get into the evening and overnight hours. And I do think that flash flooding is very, very possible. I'm going to draw this circle one more time here, just based on radar and model data. In my opinion, the highest flash flood risk looks to be about right here. From a corridor from Paducah to Madisonville. Bowling Green, I'm still a little bit worried about the flash flood risk, but it really just depends on where this line kind of sets up here. These two different waves of storms, where exactly do those track throughout the night? So that is what I'm most concerned about. Flash flooding is our number one concern as we get through the night. I say it all the time, but turn around and do not drown. We've had a lot of flash flooding fatalities in Kentucky in the last couple of weeks. So flash flooding can change so quickly, especially at nighttime. You don't know how deep the water is. Only 6 inches of water can stall your car, and 12 inches of water can carry your car away with wherever that water is going. So flash flooding is very dangerous. It's one of the most dangerous and deadly severe weather that we have in Kentucky. So I just want to make sure everybody's weather aware if you have to be out tonight in the overnight Friday. And then we'll also have another flooding risk with that rounds of storms as we get into our Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening tomorrow. So that is kind of all I have for you guys tonight. If we have any questions, I will open up the floor to any specific questions for any areas. And I'll leave the floor open here for a couple of minutes. And then, yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Grayson, what's up, man? I appreciate you coming in. Mike says, got you on the big screen. PWAT's over 2 inches now for much of western Kentucky. Yeah, and that's the issue, right? The PWATs are just the amount of moisture that the atmosphere can hold. And with the amount of rain that we've already had, it's only going to take about 1 inch to 2 inches to cause significant flash flooding in Kentucky. And the atmosphere can hold over 2 inches of rain right now. So we know these are going to be very sufficient rainfall makers as we get into the evening and overnight hours. And again, this is why I am very concerned about the flash flooding risk, especially in this area. Just looking at radar, kind of the way that the radar is trending. You could even put a secondary maybe about right here. But again, I would say for the most significant flash flooding, it does look to happen here between Hopkinsville, Madisonville, and Evansville, maybe between Paducah to Madisonville, just where these two waves kind of track in the next couple of hours. But again, if I zoom it out, you'll see kind of the stratiform rain or just light rain on the eastern side of this. And this rain will reach the I-65 corridor. So I definitely don't think we're going to be completely dry or anything like that against along the I-65 corridor. But I do think that the most significant flash flooding risk will probably happen here in this circle right here. So if I don't have any other questions, this is all I got for you guys today. I'm going to keep it open for another minute in case I didn't answer any questions. Again, we'll have another repeated rounds of showers and storms tomorrow afternoon. And I do think that might have a little bit more of an elevated severe risk just because of the timing. The last 2 days, our timing has been overnight to evening after the sun went down. Tomorrow, the shortwave looks to move in a little bit quicker, so it might be the afternoon hours. That's a good question. So Grayson's asking, how is the Nashville area looking? So today, Grayson, let me look back here at the HRRR, and we'll kind of look at what the HRRR is showing for Nashville. But I want to go back and look at the radar here. Give me 1 second. I'll get everything right for you, Grayson. Looking tonight at the Nashville area, it's very interesting to see again how that line of storms tracks here as we get into the overnight hours. We'll have to watch this line of storms here that are going to be pushing into western Kentucky to see exactly how they track. Because if you look, we fast forward this to about 4 a.m. The HRRR is pushing this just to the east of Nashville, but if it's off by 15 to 20 miles, then you could get some heavy rain in the overnight hours in Nashville. And then we'll have to watch this second wave here early on Saturday morning from the Boot Hill of Missouri area. And we'll just have to see exactly how they track. The HRRR is kind of taking them west to east, which kind of makes sense because the 500 millibar flow is kind of going west to east. But the MCS complexes have tried to dive a little bit farther south than some of the model data has shown. So I don't think Nashville's in a big risk for flash flooding tonight, but that storm and flash flooding risk will definitely increase on Saturday and Sunday as the stalled front kind of shifts a little bit further south in the next couple of days. So that's kind of how Nashville's looking. Again, if you guys have any questions about any specific areas, I will be glad to answer any questions. Again, worried about that flash flooding threat. I want to show the total rainfall. This is through 8 a.m. on Saturday. And again, this is not verbatim. Like I think up here near Louisville, you're not going to see just not even a tenth of an inch. I don't see that. I do think that stratiform rain will at least give you some rain, but I do think the HRRR is picking up pretty well on where the most significant rainfall will occur tonight, kind of between Madisonville to Bowling Green to Evansville. And I will watch the Paducah area too, kind of Paducah to Hopkinsville. It just depends on how these lines of storms track. If both of these lines of storms that we currently have in Western Kentucky, if these two track over the same area, we're going to have significant flash flooding somewhere in Kentucky. And that's looking most likely here in Western Kentucky. So we'll just have to watch. The radar is going to continue to light up for the next couple of hours. So I am going to set an alarm on my phone for about 3 a.m., kind of look at radar, babysit radars, kind of see what we have as we get into the overnight hours. But I don't think the severe risk is that high. We just don't have a good wind field. The biggest risk is going to be flash flooding as we get into the overnight, 100%. So that is all I got for you guys today. I really appreciate everybody coming in here. Again, I'm going to give you about 30 more seconds. So if you have a question, make sure you put that in the chat right now. Significant flash flooding looks possible, especially here in Western Kentucky, and repeated rounds of showers and storms will continue through your Saturday evening and Saturday overnight. So, I'm sick and tired of the rain. I hate it. I love storms, but I hate just repeated rounds of showers and storms, and I hate how dangerous flooding can be. And flooding doesn't get a good rep. Not a lot of people understand how dangerous flooding can be. You're just driving down the road and 30 seconds later, you see a little pond of water and you're like, oh, I can make it through this. And then your car gets stalled and then you don't realize how deep it is and you're floating away in that water. And it can become very deadly very fast. So just wanted to make sure I got on here and got everybody weather aware for the flooding risk that we will have in the overnight hours tonight. And again, I really appreciate everybody coming in here. Just make sure you stay weather aware. We will have, I will set an alarm around 3 a.m. to check radar, kind of see what's setting up. And then I'll have another update for you guys tomorrow morning, kind of covering what happens tonight in the overnight hours and what to expect as we get into our Saturday afternoon. So I personally am ready to get over this rain. It does look like the pattern will relax a little bit as we get into next week, but we got to get through this weekend first. So active weekend continues tonight and tomorrow. And then we'll just kind of see how Sunday looks. So, again, I really appreciate everybody coming in here. I appreciate all the support. And we will keep you guys updated throughout the night here at 0 Meter Chasers. And I will keep you guys updated on X at Kentucky_WX. So, if you're not following me, make sure you do follow. And, again, I appreciate all the support. Just make sure you stay weather aware. I think everybody's good to go to sleep tonight. Maybe just turn on that weather radio or turn on your notifications. And especially if you live in a flood-prone area. So, if you're already in an area that's already seen flooding over the last couple of days, maybe your basement's flooded or you live near a creek or stream, know that we have a potential tonight to get some of those creeks and streams out of their banks with repeated rounds of showers and storms. So again, this is the last update that I'm going to have for you guys tonight, but we will keep you updated on all of our social media as we get through the overnight hours. So just make sure you guys stay weather aware, and I really appreciate all the support. Have a blessed night, everybody. Thank you, guys.